My uncle warned me only once. If someone knocks during the rain, never open the door. That night, the rain was falling so heavily, it felt like the sky itself had cracked open. And maybe, it wasn't just the sky that broke that night. My name is Samir, and the story I'm about to tell you is the most terrifying truth of my life. Even today, remembering it keeps me awake at night. This isn't a made-up horror story. It's something that happened to me in 2021, in a small village in Sindh. I used to work for a private company in Karachi. After the lockdown, we were allowed to work from home temporarily, so I decided to spend a few weeks in my village. The village was small, quiet, and strangely empty after sunset. At first, I thought it was normal village life. But one night, my uncle looked at me seriously and said, "If you hear a woman crying at night, don't leave your room." I laughed. "Come on, uncle, are you serious?" But he didn't smile. Instead, he whispered, "Some things here are not jokes." That same night, I stayed awake working on my laptop while the storm outside kept getting worse. The electricity went out again and again. By the time I checked my phone, it was almost 2 a.m. And then, I heard it for the first time. A woman crying. Soft, painful, and slow. At first, I thought it was coming from a nearby house. But after a few seconds, I realized something horrifying. The sound wasn't coming from outside the village. It was coming from the backyard of our house. My throat went dry instantly. And suddenly, my uncle's warning echoed in my mind. "If you hear her crying, don't go outside." I slowly walked toward the window. The rain was pouring heavily. Everything outside was completely dark. Then suddenly, lightning flashed across the sky. And for 1 second, I saw her. A woman in white clothes, standing silently beneath the old neem tree behind our house. Her wet hair covered most of her face, but I could still feel it. She was looking directly at my window. At me. Part 3, the knock on the window. My heart started beating so fast that I could hear it in my ears. I quickly closed the curtain and stepped back from the window. For a few seconds, everything became silent. Then suddenly, someone knocked on the window. I froze completely. The knocking came again. This time, slower. And then, a woman's voice whispered from outside, "Open the door." My entire body went cold. I knew everyone in the house was asleep. Then who was standing outside my room at 2 a.m.? Again, the voice came. Softer this time. "Please, let me in." But there was something wrong with that voice. It didn't sound human. It sounded like something pretending to be human. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my phone and started playing Surah Baqarah. The moment the Quran recitation echoed inside the room, the knocking stopped. Completely. The silence that followed felt even more terrifying than the sound itself. I took a deep breath and thought maybe it was finally gone. But then, from underneath my bed, a whisper came. "We know, you're awake." The moment I heard that whisper, my blood ran cold. I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe properly. Slowly, very slowly, I looked down toward the dark space beneath my bed. At first, I saw nothing. Then suddenly, two glowing white eyes appeared in the darkness, staring directly at me. And beneath those eyes, a horrifying smile, too wide to be human. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But my body refused to move. Then the thing under the bed started crawling out. Its arms bent in strange directions. Its fingers were unnaturally long, scraping against the floor. And its face, it looked burned, like melted skin hanging from bone. The smell of something rotten filled the room. I shut my eyes immediately and began reciting Ayatul Kursi with a trembling voice. Suddenly, the room became freezing cold. The walls started shaking lightly. And then, a deafening scream exploded inside the room, so loud that my ears began ringing. After that, everything went black. The neem tree. When I opened my eyes again, it was morning. Soft sunlight was entering through the broken window curtains. I was lying on the floor beside my bed. My entire body felt weak. And sitting next to me was my uncle. His face looked pale and terrified. For a few moments, neither of us spoke. Then finally, in a low voice, he asked, "You saw her, didn't you?" I couldn't answer. I just stared at him silently. My uncle took a deep breath and slowly began telling me the truth. 20 years ago, a woman lived in this village with her husband. She was very quiet and kind, but people said her husband treated her badly. One stormy night, she disappeared. The next morning, villagers found her hanging from the neem tree behind this house. A cold chill ran through my body. My uncle continued. After her death, strange things started happening. People heard crying outside their homes at night. Some claimed they saw a woman in white standing beneath the tree. And the ones who followed the voice, they were never normal again. The room became silent again. Then my uncle looked directly into my eyes and said something I will never forget. She only appears during heavy rain. And once she sees someone, she never truly leaves them. A few days later, I left the village and returned to Karachi. I tried to forget everything that had happened. I buried myself in work. I stopped thinking about the crying woman, about the neem tree, about those glowing eyes under my bed. And slowly, life started feeling normal again. Or at least, that's what I thought. 2 months passed. One night, heavy rain started pouring across the city. The same kind of rain from that night in the village. I was alone in my apartment. The clock on the wall showed exactly 2:03 a.m. Suddenly, the electricity went out. The entire flat became dark. Only the sound of rain filled the silence. Then, someone knocked on my window. My heart nearly stopped. Slowly, I turned toward the curtain. The knocking came again. And then, a familiar voice whispered from outside, "Open the door." My hands began shaking uncontrollably, because I recognized that voice. It was her. I stepped backward slowly, trying not to make a sound. But then my phone suddenly rang. And the moment the screen lit up, I froze in terror. Because the caller ID said, "Uncle." I answered immediately. Before I could even speak, my uncle shouted on the phone, "Don't look at the window." But it was already too late. Because at that exact moment, the curtain beside me moved slowly on its own. And behind the glass, I saw the pale face of the woman smiling at me. Inside the apartment, the moment I saw her face behind the glass, my entire body stopped responding. Her skin looked pale gray. Her wet hair covered half her face. And her smile, it was wider than before. Unnaturally wide. The rain kept falling behind her as she slowly lifted one hand and placed it against the window. Then, the knocking stopped. For a few seconds, everything became silent again. Too silent. Even my uncle's voice on the phone disappeared. I slowly stepped backward. My breathing became heavier. And then, I heard something impossible. A soft creaking sound, coming from inside my apartment. Not outside. Inside. It sounded like someone slowly walking across the living room floor. Step. 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 My eyes widened in terror. Because the woman was still standing outside the window. So if she was outside, then who was inside the apartment? I grabbed the kitchen knife from the table with trembling hands. The footsteps stopped near my bedroom door. Complete silence. Then slowly, the bedroom door began opening by itself. Creak. The dark hallway appeared behind it. At first, there was nothing there. Then two white glowing eyes appeared in the darkness, watching me. And a familiar whisper filled the room. "You should have opened the door." The moment those glowing eyes appeared in the darkness, I realized something terrifying. The woman outside the window, and the thing inside my apartment, were not the same. My hands trembled as I backed away slowly. The figure inside the hallway began crawling forward unnaturally. Its head twisted sideways. Bones cracked with every movement. And its smile kept growing wider. Meanwhile, outside the window, the woman in white remained completely still, watching me, almost as if she was warning me. Suddenly, my uncle's voice returned on the phone. His voice was shaking with fear. "Samir, listen carefully. That thing inside your apartment is not the woman from the village." My blood froze. "What do you mean?" I whispered. My uncle replied, "People were wrong all these years. They thought the crying woman was the curse. But she was never the real danger. She cries to warn people, because something else follows her." The creature in the hallway suddenly stopped moving. Its glowing eyes locked onto me. And then, It smiled. A smile so horrifying that I felt my knees weaken. My uncle screamed through the phone. "Don't let it touch you." Suddenly, every light inside the apartment turned on at once. The creature let out an inhuman scream. And for 1 second, I saw its true face. It had no eyes, no skin, only a mouth stretched across its entire face. Then everything exploded into darkness. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying in a hospital bed. Bright white lights hung above me. My head felt heavy. For a moment, I couldn't remember anything. Then suddenly, the memories came rushing back. The rain, the knocking, the glowing eyes. That creature. I sat up in panic, breathing heavily. A nurse quickly entered the room and tried to calm me down. She told me I had been found unconscious inside my apartment the previous night. According to the neighbors, people heard screaming during the storm. But when they broke the door open, I was alone. Completely alone. No sign of anyone else. No broken windows. No footprints. Nothing. My uncle arrived later that afternoon. The moment he saw me awake, relief filled his face. But something about him felt different. He looked terrified, as if he knew more than he wanted to say. I asked him one question. What was that thing? For a long moment, he stayed silent. Then quietly, he said, "There are some things in this world that are older than us, older than villages, older than religion. And once they find someone, they never truly let them go." Before leaving the hospital room, my uncle handed me a small folded paper. On it, only one sentence was written. "If you hear knocking during the rain, never answer it." That night, after everyone left, I couldn't sleep. Rain had started again outside the hospital. Soft at first, then heavier. And at exactly 2:03 a.m., someone knocked gently on my hospital room window. My heart nearly stopped the moment I heard the knocking on the hospital window. Slow, gentle, almost patient. Every muscle in my body froze. The rain outside grew heavier, crashing against the glass like thousands of tiny fingers. I slowly turned my head toward the window. But before I could look, my phone vibrated beside me. Unknown number. My hands trembled as I answered the call. For a few seconds, there was only static. Then a weak voice whispered, "Samir." It was my uncle. But something sounded horribly wrong. His voice was shaking, as if he was crying. "Listen to me carefully," he whispered. "If you see her outside the window, do not look into her eyes." A chill ran through my body. I slowly asked, "Where are you?" For a moment, there was silence. Then I heard rain. Heavy rain. And faintly, knocking. My uncle started breathing heavily. Then he whispered something that made my blood freeze. She's here too. Suddenly, the call disconnected. At the exact same moment, the hospital room lights went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Only lightning flashes illuminated the room for a second at a time. And during one flash, I saw someone standing beside my bed. Not the woman. Something taller. Thinner. Its head almost touched the ceiling. Its skin looked blackened and cracked. And across its face, that same impossible smile. I couldn't move. Couldn't scream. The creature slowly leaned closer to my face. And in a voice that sounded like many people speaking together, it whispered, "You finally opened the door." The next morning, the hospital staff found my room empty. The window was wide open. Rainwater covered the floor. But Samir Khan was never seen again. The only thing left behind was his phone. And inside it, a final voice recording. Police officers who listened to it later reported hearing only three things: heavy rain, knocking on glass, and a terrified voice whispering, "Please, don't let." 3 weeks after Samir disappeared, the case was officially closed. Police found no evidence. No body. No fingerprints. Nothing except the phone recovered from the hospital room. People slowly forgot about the story. Some believed Samir had lost his mind and escaped. Others believed he was murdered. But no one knew the truth. Except one person. His uncle. After Samir vanished, his uncle stopped speaking to almost everyone. Neighbors said he rarely left his house anymore. And whenever rain started, he locked every door and window before sunset. Then one night, during another storm, someone knocked on his front door. At first, he ignored it. But then his phone rang. Unknown number. With shaking hands, he answered the call. And instantly, his face lost all color. Because the voice on the other side whispered, "Cha-cha." It was Samir. Weak. Terrified. Almost crying. "Please help me." His uncle's eyes filled with tears. "Samir? Where are you?" For a few seconds, only static answered. Then Samir whispered, "It's dark here. So dark. And every time it rains, it comes closer." The knocking on the front door became louder. Samir suddenly began screaming on the phone. "Don't open the door." His uncle stumbled backward in fear. Then the call abruptly ended. At the same moment, the knocking outside stopped completely. Silence filled the house. Slowly. Very slowly. His uncle turned toward the window beside the door. And standing outside in the rain was Samir. Smiling. With glowing white eyes. The moment Samir's uncle saw him standing outside the window, he knew that was not his nephew anymore. The thing outside looked exactly like Samir. Same face. Same clothes. Same voice. But the eyes, those glowing white eyes, were not human. Rain poured heavily across the village as the figure outside slowly raised one hand toward the glass. Then it smiled wider, and whispered without moving its lips, "Please, let me in." Samir's uncle stepped backward, trembling with fear. He remembered the warning. Never open the door during the rain. Suddenly, every light inside the house began flickering violently. The walls shook softly. And from somewhere deep inside the house, another knock echoed. Not from outside. From inside. His uncle froze. Slowly, he turned around toward the dark hallway behind him. At the end of the corridor, a tall figure stood motionless in the darkness. Its head bent unnaturally. Its long arms almost touched the floor. And across its face stretched that same horrifying smile. The creature whispered in many broken voices at once. "You were warned." The lights exploded. Darkness swallowed the house completely. Neighbors later said they heard screaming during the storm that night. But by morning, the house was empty. Both Samir and his uncle had vanished. Police searched the entire village. But the only thing they found was muddy rainwater leading toward the old neem tree behind the house. After that night, strange stories spread across nearby villages. Travelers claimed they heard knocking during storms. Some said they saw a woman in white crying beneath trees. Others reported seeing a tall smiling figure standing silently outside windows at exactly 2:03 a.m. And even today, people in that village still follow one rule whenever heavy rain begins. If someone knocks on your door late at night, no matter who it sounds like, no matter how much they beg, never let them in.